Hello, welcome to Sound Bites. I'm your host, Holly Whitfield from the Daily Memphian. I am here with Harrison Downing and Schuyler O'Brien. They're two of the three owners of a new deli coming to the Edge District in Memphis, but they have a lot more irons in the Memphis food scene fire than that. Sound Bites is the Daily Memphian's weekly food, drink, and dining podcast. You can tune in on WYXR radio every Thursday at 11 a.m. Of course, you can always listen wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. You can also just listen right on our website at dailymemphian.com. If you are listening on WYXR right now, keep listening because you can hear the Sidebar podcast with Daily Memphian CEO Eric Barnes. This week, he's interviewing Kevin Sharp with the Dixon Gallery and Gardens. But let's get started with Hard Times Deli, just one of the things we're going to talk about today. We're also going to talk about the Smashburger pop-up that brought Harrison and Schuyler together with their other partner, Cole Jeans. And then I'm going to see if I can get them to share their takes on the next generation of Memphis restaurants and where they go when they go out. But let's get going. Jennifer Chandler from Daily Memphian named Hard Times Deli one of the 7 eateries to be excited about in 2025. That was her New Year's Day table talk column, and y'all were one of the 7. So thank you for being here. I know that you guys have really interesting backgrounds and winding roads on how you got to this point. So Schuyler, introduce yourself. Let us know how you got here.
All right, yeah, I just want to say thanks for having us. We're super pumped to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I kind of got into cooking when I had my first job at Schnucks grocery store and worked in the bakery there. And my manager I thought I just had to bake cookies and stock shelves, and she kind of taught me how to decorate cakes and do all this, and it kind of found a bit of inspiration in that, and started cooking more at home, and ended up going to culinary school right out of high school in Orlando, Florida at Le Cordon Bleu. I worked at Disney for a while and a couple other resorts down there. Made my way back to Memphis, did a little stint at the Peabody, worked for Ernie Meller at AMF Catering, and then made my way out to Blackberry Farm after that, where I worked with Cassidy Dabney, and that was, probably where I, found who I was as a cook. And it was just, you can't explain that place in words. You just have to go experience it. So anybody looking to stage, if you're in the industry, I would highly suggest you go and just get, some of that experience. But came back here, worked at Catherine Mary's as the sous chef for a bit, and then got back into catering, decided to go back and get my graduate degree in hospitality from the University of Memphis, and was looking for something that was had a little better work-life balance.
Right.
That's when kind of Scott and I were put together through my brother-in-law. So Scott Tashi and his wife Rebecca own City Silo, and I am involved with that as the food and beverage director. That's my day-to-day. We are also have a piece. We're partners in Flyway Memphis, which is a new brewery that took over the High Cotton space on Monroe. And we teamed up with Matt Foster, who started Flyway out in North Little Rock. They have a brewery in Fayetteville as well.
So you're the food and bev director, like day to day at City Silo. You've got partnerships with Flyway Brewing. And then how did you get hooked up with these guys?
So Harrison and I went to middle school together.
Wow.
Harry cooked for a while. We still stay connected, but would not see each other as much, obviously, as we do now. And cooking kind of brought us back together. And that's where from there we catered together, and then we did the pop-up together. And now, we're doing what we're doing now together. And so, yeah, it's kind of a long journey of different things that I've done, but firm believer in everything happens for a reason, and this is what we're supposed to be doing now, and super pumped about it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Harrison?
Thanks for having us on here.
Absolutely.
It's me and Schuyler go way back. Like once, I guess, when he went to culinary school and things like that, I did the whole normal college thing. I knew I wanted to do something in the restaurant industry, and I lived in Oxford my freshman year, started working at Nukes, kind of bounced around with a catering company in Oxford, then moved and went to Pellissippi in Knoxville. I worked for a catering company in Knoxville for a good period of time. I came back to Memphis and started working at Jim's Place Grill out in Collierville, and that's like really where one of the chefs that I worked under was super awesome, a self-taught chef, and kind of saw him and saw the fast pace of the kitchen and really fell in love with it. After working there for about 2 years, I moved out to Colorado, and I worked in a few restaurants in downtown Denver. I worked at Wazee Supper Club, which is like a hog and hominy that went till 3 a.m. And then I worked at another restaurant called Linger, which was where I got introduced to like a more fast-paced kitchen, but a more structured kitchen, and got to see like what it was like with a chef calling out orders and everybody. You don't have tickets, you have to remember things, and you're talking and it's loud and it's fast and everybody's at certain stations, and that kind of really made me realize like this could be something that I wanted to do. So came back to Memphis, started working back again with the same chef at Jim's Place. I worked there for about 6 years and kind of worked my way up from expo to sous chef. That was when Schuyler, we always would stay in touch because I didn't really know who else to talk to about food stuff. No one really cared at the time. It's gotten way more glorified now, being in the restaurant industry. I always joke around. I feel like that show The Bear. Restaurant industry is getting a lot more respect, which I really enjoy. But that was when Schuyler was at Blackberry and I was getting sous chef for the first time. And he was like the only person, like I was freaking out. He was at Blackberry Farms. He was freaking out. Once that came in, I kind of, as everyone does in the industry, after years of being at Jim's Place, I got burnt out and just kind of was in a rut, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with life. And Schuyler started taking over the more fine dining side of AMF catering. When I came back, I wanted to stop traveling, and he was like, why don't you come over here? We can work on menu items together. Yeah. So that's when we started cooking together, was at Hog Wild. And then COVID happened. Once COVID was over and we got back into the restaurant industry, I started working at Gray's Fine Cheeses. Yes. And so I was there. I opened the three locations for them on the kitchen side, trained all their staff and everything. And that's where I started testing the waters with the sandwiches. Cole, ironically, got a position at Hen House down the street. He was their chef for a short period of time. And so we knew of each other through the food scene, and we kind of would meet in the back alleyway and chit chat before service. And at Gray's was when I really got inspired, because I did this thing called Sandwich Saturday. Oh yeah. And would do sandwiches on Saturday. They would sell out in like an hour and a half. And
I never got one.
Yeah, just kind of doing stuff like that. And just, it was where I was kind of teasing the fact of like maybe one day I could open a sandwich shop. And I got closer with Cole, and Schuyler and I weren't cooking together anymore, and we all wanted to cook together again. And that's kind of where the Secret Smash Society came from. Smash burgers was like 2024's big trend. A lot of chefs were doing smash burgers, and there's nothing like it in Memphis. And our buddies at Home Place Pastures have unbelievable beef, and we wanted to support them. And so I kind of pitched the idea to Cole and Schuyler, and both of them bid on it. And after the first one, we like realized that like that was really fun, where we made some money, got to drink some beer, and then it just like it blew up. So I've always been a fan of High Cotton, and it's awesome. Like I proposed at High Cotton at my rehearsal dinner at High Cotton. Now he's involved with it. And so the first one was for my friend LB's going away party. She was her first taproom manager, worked there forever. So we did that. Just got crushed. And it was awesome. Good turnout. So for the first 3, we did them at High Cotton. We've only done a few in other locations.
Yeah, we did Wiseacre OG too.
Yeah. Just through that, and the hype with Cole has always had a ridiculous hype with Kinfolk. When he was at Comeback doing the pop-up, and things kind of just started coming to light. And with Hard Times, everything like happened organically. Like nothing was really forced. Me and Cole were talking about like, hey, why don't one day we open up our own spot? And Emily Todd, who's really involved with the Edge District, she reached out to me they do Strange Ways Wednesday in the Edge District. And she reached out to me about doing a burger pop-up there. And we were trying to figure out a Wednesday to go. And I was like, you know what? I know your dad owns a lot of space. Do y'all have anything that I could just check out while we're down there looking at the Strange Way thing? And she introduced me to John Halford, who owns our building. And she said the building we were in, she was like, just go by and check it out. And I walked over there And like right when I saw the building, it was, completely dilapidated. But just knew it was a special spot right across the street from Sun Studio in the neighborhood that we wanted to be in, right in the heart of the main intersection in the Edge District.
Next to the Edge Motor Museum.
It was super sick, and I just saw so much potential in it. And I called Cole and Schuyler right then, was like, I think we found, like, this is the spot. John was willing. The building's huge. It's in 3 bays. We have the biggest suite in it. But, he was willing, just from what we had done, which he had trust in us, he was willing to completely he's invested more money than we have in this building to bring it back just so he could get us in there, which was really, really cool. Nothing was forced. It was, everything came out really organically, which is awesome.
That's amazing. I'm hyped now. I'm inspired by our stories. But tell me about Hard Times. You're curing meats. You're selling shirts.
Swag is a big thing.
Swag is a big part of it. We've reported in the past about the name coming from a Tyler Childers song.
Yeah.
I'll link to that if you're reading this on dailymemphian.com or listening. But tell us more about Hard Times. You also talked about the chopped cheese sandwich. Tell me about another sandwich that you have on the menu. What can you reveal? I know that you said, I'm just going to spill this. Before we started recording, you said you're in the process of inspections, getting things together. You're hoping to open before the beginning of February, early February, so people can pay attention for that news coming soon.
Social media. We will let you know via social media.
Yeah, don't worry. They will definitely tell us. But menu, what you got?
The chopped cheese was kind of everyone, the second we said we were opening up a spot, they were, is the burger going to be on the menu? Is the burger going to be on the menu? This is a nod to the smash burger. We call it the SSS chopped cheese. A chopped cheese is just like a Philly cheesesteak, but it's really big in New York.
Yes.
It's like a Philly cheesesteak, but with ground beef. You chop it up. So it's the same process as a smash burger. You smash the patty on the flat top, but then you chop it up and mix the cheese in. So it's the same thing, but it's on... it's just a sandwich form. So we're getting all of our bread locally done. All of our beef and pork will come from Home Place Pastures. All of our other proteins are sourced as local as possible. Like you said, we're doing all of our proteins in-house. So we invested money and put an extra hood in the kitchen to get a smoker installed. So we'll be doing all of our roast beef in-house. We'll do our turkey in-house, our bacon in-house. We'll do all of that ourselves. So that way we get to support our friends at Home Place Pastures. But back to the menu question, chopped cheese is really big, because the following for the burger, we didn't want to use the burger at a deli. It's a sandwich shop.
Right.
But we're doing nods to classic deli sandwiches from everywhere. Like we'll have an Italian on the menu. Our Italian will be, it's my favorite meats on an Italian. We'll do pepperoni, salami, and mortadella. The mortadella is made from pigs from Home Place Pastures. And we'll be doing that. And then it's just mainly like we'll have our take on a turkey bacon ranch. We'll have one that was surprisingly popular. I didn't think it was going to be as popular as it was at our pop-up with Hog and Hominy. Andy and Mike have always been awesome to us and opened the doors of Hog and Hominy to let us do a pop-up there. And it was unreal. We did over 275 covers in 3 hours. But we did
on a Tuesday at lunch.
Yeah, on a Tuesday from 11 to 2. So it's like 100 people flips in an hour on a Tuesday, which is crazy. But we did I loved as a kid the Arby's beef and cheddar sandwich. So we did our take on it. It's built similar to a French dip, but instead of we have creamy horseradish on the side, but we do this. I call it the champagne and cheese sauce. It's like a beer cheese that I make out of Miller High Life.
Nice.
The champagne and beer is champagne and cheese sauce.
Perfect.
But yeah, it's just roast beef, 100% grass-fed roast beef from Como, Mississippi, from Home Place. Do it in-house, shave it really thin, cover it in that champagne and cheese sauce, and then we have these crispy tobacco onions, which everyone keeps asking what tobacco onions are. It's just a process of frying them. You use a lot of paprika and things, so similar. It looks similar to the brown of a tobacco leaf.
I learned something new today. Yeah,
but it's and then we put those crispy onions on there. I wanted to use French's onions, but we can make them better because I love the crispy French's onions in Thanksgiving. A lot of times I will use those, but we'll make those in house too because we can. And then you dip it in a horseradish sauce, and so it's it's just stuff from our childhood. We like to elevate things. I mean, he's cooked at some of the best places around and in the state, and Cole is an unbelievable chef as well. So we like to kind of tie in those our background in more fine dining style cooking, but bringing it to something people can eat every day. And it's whether it's the menu items that are on the menu will be stuff that we know we can execute every day, but then we'll have those specials where we can do something ridiculous. Like Schuyler really wants to work on a shrimp toast banh mi and like things like that, which would be something that we can do 100 of, but like we can't do 500 throughout the week.
Maybe prep's a little more intricate or, different techniques and stuff like that. But we're definitely going to really push that specials program just on our end, so we can really have like some rotating cool stuff. But the classics that are going to be on there are all solid. And I mean, truthfully, we have like this insane running list of a Google Doc that we're going to have to get dialed in within the next few weeks.
And we have some really heavy hitters that are working with us at the deli. I got really lucky to get some of these guys on board. And I don't want them to feel burnt out because they're coming and working sandwiches. So like if they go down to New Orleans and get inspired by a po' boy they ate, come back, let's eat one for lunch. If it's good, we'll sell it. And leave things like during Mardi Gras, we'll have po' boys on the menu.
I was going to say, may I humbly request a roast beef po' boy? That's what I grew up eating.
Yeah, debris is like one of my favorite things. But we'll do things like that. And that way it keeps everybody creative. It keeps everybody going. But we'll have those, we're going to have like 4 hot, 4 cold sandwiches on the menu. That'll be like our staples. And then we'll have a couple vegetarian options, 1 hot, 1 cold. If the menu goes according to plan, we still need to get in there and taste everything and get everything going. But the day-to-day sandwiches are something that I think people are really gonna enjoy. We have a cold roast beef sandwich, but we'll have 4 hot sandwiches, 4 cold sandwiches. All of our bread we're getting from Hive Bakery. I'm good friends with Josh. He's been working on a type of bread that I fell in love with. I had a short stint out in San Francisco and Northern California for a little while when I was younger. And they have this bread out there called Dutch Crunch. And it's just like an awesome.
I was really hoping you were going to say Dutch Crunch.
And so it's an awesome bread. And me and Josh have been going back and forth. He's been making samples. And ironically enough, the morning before the Hog and Hominy pop up was when we were like, all right, we got it locked in. And he had to make 170 loaves.
This is the one. Yeah.
I guess the Saturday before. But then I was like, cool, we need 170 loaves. And so he crushed it. And the bread was awesome. People really enjoyed it. And so we're excited. Like we said, the menu is going to be I want to call on my friends rather than call on the big corporations of food providers. I think it's a lot cooler when I get to text my buddy like, hey, can I support your farm? Can I support your bakery? And that's when it comes down to it. It's people were wondering why like on the menu a sandwich was $18. And it was, and people were like commenting back, it's 100% grass-fed beef on a locally made roll. Everything's sourced from in town. And so I
think that's a great piece of information to share with people. I mean, not everyone is going to pay $18 for a sandwich, and that's fine. You don't need everyone. You just need however many you need of people that share that vision with you.
That's just kind of not knocking any other things like that, but we don't want to just have like sliced boar's head and just be another spot that is just pushing out boar's head meat.
Somewhere else.
And you can. And we probably can't compete with their prices because like Subway and Jimmy John's and things like that. But we're trying to bring an elevated sandwich concept to Memphis. And a lot of other cities have them, but Memphis doesn't. And I think it would be, people are excited.
Can you tell us about the Edge District neighborhood and how you're keyed into that?
Yeah.
So the location, as we mentioned, is sort of across from Sun Studio.
Yeah, I mean, we are in this like iconic neighborhood in the city. We've got Sun Studio right there. Sam Phillips Recording is right down the street, and then all this like there's so much rich history there that kind of hasn't. It's been a neighborhood that a lot of people haven't really visited in a long time, and there's a ton of people coming in that are trying to bring it back and bring in all these cool concepts. I mean, you have French Truck there, you have Rock and Dough, you have the new yoga spot, there's Gym, there's Rootstock. Like, we're coming in Flyway, we have a brand new restaurant attached to that, full bar menu, super tasty bar food. And
Memphis Made just brought back.
Yeah, Memphis Made's right down there.
Josh is doing that really sick cocktail concept.
Yeah, Bar Limina is right around the corner there on Madison, and there's Ugly Art there. There's so many. What I didn't realize is when we started going to kind of these neighborhood meetings, there's so many artists that have their studios down there.
Yeah,
and it's like
3 or 4 art studios.
It's awesome. And so what I feel like, collaboration kind of breeds inspiration. And so like it already feels like this like super cool tight knit community. And we all just kind of like, a lot of people have been there longer than us, obviously, but it just feels really, like you said earlier, it's like very organic, very natural, like a very meant to be thing. And I really do think that like we can lean on each other's neighbors to help kind of improve this neighborhood together and really like make it that spot that people want to visit. Or you pregame for a Grizzlies, or you go there before a Grizzlies game or for the Redbirds, or catch a drink after on your way back out east, whatever it may be. But I'm really excited we're there and just really pumped for what the neighborhood's going to become.
Yeah, I think it's great. I've found myself spending more time in the area. Went to an event at Memphis Made. Since Rock and Dough opened, I have gone like every other week over at Rock and Dough. I love their pizza. I went on, we kind of made our own, art gallery crawl, this past summer, one Sunday afternoon, walked around, stopped in Flyway, had some beers. I know they had, an official gallery crawl a couple of weeks ago in the Edge District, and I hope they do that again. So that's really exciting. Sort of along those same lines, though, one thing that we've talked about on the podcast the last couple of weeks, if people didn't listen to last week's Sound Bites with Mary Oglesby and Paul Gilliam from Cameo, we got into it a little bit on this kind of online narrative, a lot of restaurants closed in 2024, or we could say a lot of high profile or long time Memphis restaurants closed. And you had kind of led on that when you tell people you're opening another deli in Memphis, they're like, why would you open something when all the restaurants are closing? That's just the attitude people have. What's your take on that? What do you say to that?
I think personally for me, I grew up here. I left, I came back, I left, I came back again. And this city is obviously something we want to invest in. And we are just approaching this with pure optimism. And we're going to control what we can control. Yep. And that's really all you can do. I think that, how we've done it, we put so much work in on the front that by the time the doors actually open, whether it's a brick and mortar like the deli, whether it's a one night dinner or it's a pop-up for 400, there's been so much preparation beforehand, and we've really thought through everything, and then, we have to execute. But I think, I love this city. I think it's going in a great direction. We just have to, if we're a tiny piece of helping it get there, we're pumped for that. So
yeah, and a lot of people take a restaurant closing as it not being successful. But with restaurants, a lot of these restaurants that are closing in Memphis, and a lot of Memphis restaurants are family owned. And when someone gets to a certain age and they retire, it's not like a normal 9 to 5. When you retire, the business goes on. If your son or daughter or cousin, if they don't want the restaurant, then the restaurant closes. And it doesn't mean because a restaurant closes that they've failed.
Yeah.
It just means
they're closing.
Yeah, they're out, and they could be retiring, or they want to go, they're burnt out and they want to go to another industry. It doesn't mean that it wasn't successful. And I think Memphis is kind of, dwelled, when people think Memphis food scene, they think Rendezvous, they think Jim's Place, and all these places that have been here. I'm a big fan of Jim's Place. I learned how to cook there, but they've been a restaurant in Memphis for 100 years. Yes. And it's there's not many places that can say that. Rendezvous, the same family, the same Greek family bloodline, the Virgos and the Terraces. They've been here for forever. And there's we talked about this earlier, the new chefs coming up. There's a lot of young chefs that are fired up, wanting to bring it back. And when eventually it's the same as football. There's a new generation of, Peyton Manning's not playing anymore. He had to retire. He can't go anymore. Yes. But there's another quarterback, and there's a lot of young chefs that are coming in, and a lot of people that are really driven in the industry, like Sarah and Arturo at Good Fortune. Yes. Us. There's a lot of Josh, I mean, he's our age as well, opening up Hive. And there's a lot of people in our generation that are kind of taking the torch. Andy and Mike have run the food scene for so long in Memphis. And that's why we're like humbled that they would want to bring us in to the restaurant to cook. They give us their whole kitchen space, and any other chefs that come and do their wine dinners are James Beard chefs and things like that. And they see the light in the younger generation, and I don't see the restaurants closing as a bad thing. It's a new wave is coming.
Memphis sandwiches. I moved to Memphis and was immediately taken to the Chinese sub shop over on Highland. I went to the U of M. Shortly after, I was taken to Fino's when it was only in Midtown. We had Frake's Deli downtown when I worked at the Commercial Appeal. I'm a sandwich girly, so I was really into that. I mean, Sam's Deli, I could go on. Gray's, I would add to that list of great sandwich spots. Quick Check. That's the other one. I can hit you with the OG sandwich spots for sure. It's always been. What am I leaving off the list?
Vanelli's Deli in Germantown.
Yes.
I mean, you've hit it so far. Yeah, I mean,
did y'all have a favorite?
I mean, I guess it was like through
old, new, open, close.
Yeah, through moments of time. Like when I was a kid, we always went to Vanelli's Deli because I grew up in Germantown.
Yes.
Kind of getting older, moving out to campus, we always went to Chinese Sub Shop. Schuyler lived down the street from there. And I guess it's like as we got older and we're allowed to get away from Germantown, you kind of got more spots.
Yes.
Fino's, my friends lived in, I mean, as everyone probably had a short stay. If you stayed in Memphis and moved to Midtown, living in apartments that Fino's is under.
We'll find it. We'll put it in the story.
But a lot of my friends lived there, and so we would go to Fino's. But yeah, sandwiches in Memphis have always, I mean, it's always been a thing. I mean, Quick Check is probably one of the only places that I've had every single item on their menu and like made it a point.
Yes.
I lived right. I helped open up local. I worked in their kitchen when they first opened on the square. And so I lived right behind it was that old French hotel that was abandoned.
Yes.
So we walked to Quick Check like every day. Quick Check was one of my favorites. And then Sam's and then I shortly found out that he was an original owner of Quick Check.
Yes.
Him and his wife. And then when they separated, he opened up Sam's Deli, and I loved that place as well.
The Gilmore.
That's it. Did not start with, it's on McLean. That's why I thought it was started with an M. But no, Sam's Deli was awesome. I've always been a big sandwich guy.
You got a favorite?
Man, I don't know. My most recent memories are of all his stuff at Gray's. I mean, that's where I would go for everything, and so it's just.
Do you have a favorite?
I would go turkey every time. Mm-hmm. Even when I thought I would come in and try something different, I would just go the OG turkey, just solid.
Well, this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much. We're all really excited about Hard Times opening. There's a lot to talk about. Maybe we'll come back later on this year and get some updates from y'all. This is all the time that we have today. This has been me, Holly Whitfield from Daily Memphian, with Schuyler O'Brien and Harrison Downing with Hard Times Deli and more. You can tune in to hear this podcast on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11 a.m. Of course, listen iTunes, Spotify, dailymemphian.com, anywhere you get your podcasts. If you are listening right now on WYXR, up next, you can hear Eric Barnes, Daily Memphian CEO, on the sidebar. He's interviewing Kevin Sharp with the Dixon Gallery and Gardens. But that is it. Goodbye for now. Thank you, Schuyler and Harrison.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. Yeah.